Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, I'm going to walk you through how to create a remote repository on GitHub. I've already logged into my GitHub account, so if you can do the same, the website is github.com. If you haven't got an account, you can just register. It's pretty straightforward. So to create a new repository, click on the plus sign and click new repository, and you're given this option here. So it tells you the owner of the repository, and then this is where you give your repository a name. So you can give it any name you want. I'll just call mine Blue Line Sample App. In the description here, description is optional, so you don't have to fill that in. I'm just going to type in my sample app. The default option here for the repository is public. When it's public, anyone can see this repository. Also, you can choose who can commit to it. If your option is private, you also can choose who can see and commit to it. With the public, anyone can see it, but not anyone can commit to it. You have to specify who can commit to it. You've also got the option to initialize this repository with a README file if you want. It says this will let you immediately clone the repository to your computer. So you can skip this step if you are importing an existing repository. So anyway, I'm going to ignore that step, but the option is there if you want to do that. So when you're done, just click on this button that says create repository, and it will go ahead and create the repository. So it's taken us to the page where we created the app. Because there's actually nothing in there, but it also gives you information what to do, a quick setup. It says if you've done this kind of thing before, and it tells you if you've not, you can create a new repository on the command line. It tells you how to do that. And if you want to push, just give you instructions on what to do. So if you want to push an existing repository from the command line, it tells you the command to use and what to do, and the path to push it to. So just give you a bunch of instructions here on what to do. We've already initialized our repository. It's advisable to always add a README when you have time, because it's going to be a public repository. Everyone can see it. So it's good that people are able to read what the project is about. What we can do here, we can add this here, this remote. It's now a remote repository. We can add that. So to add that, I'm just going to copy that and open up the Git bash and just type in git remote, because we're adding a remote repository, and I'll just paste that in there and just press enter to run it. Oh, I made an error here. You can see I've got too many. I've got a Git remote here and I've got a Git remote there again. So let me do that again. Git remote. Or what I can do, just get rid of the first one and just paste. That's it, Git remote. So now if I press enter, it should work. So it should have added the remote. So let's type in a command to test, to git remote and press enter. It will come up with origin. So we want to use this command here. There's a command called git push -u origin master. So I'm going to copy this command and add that to the shell. So I'm going to add that here. Okay. So if I hit enter, that should push it to the remote repository. Okay, so I'm going to git push -u. So here is prompting for a username or email for GitHub. So I need to enter that. So we need to log into GitHub just to validate that we are authorized to push things there. So I've logged in. I've just typed in my details. I'll click login. So once I do that, it says login failed. So I need to check that again. So I've had to enter my details again. So I'm going to click OK, and it should work this time. You can see it's pushing what I have in my local repository, is pushing it to the remote repository. So you can see here it says branch master set up to track remote branch master from origin. So let me minimize this. If I refresh this page, you can see we've got some files now. So these are all the files that have been pushed from my local repository on my computer onto GitHub. So these are exactly the files I have on my local directory. So this is my local directory here. This is the gitignore file. That's that one. That's the app.js, which is that. That's the index, and that's the user login. This obviously is ignored because I've included it in the gitignore file. You can see on the bottom here, it says help people interested in this repository understand your project by adding a README. So README is quite important. So anyone who comes to GitHub now and sees this repository can tell when it was committed. It tells you, it gives you a lot of information that the public can see. So you can, looking at the remote repository, you can see a bit, it tells you there's been 4 commits, 1 branch, 0 release, 1 contributor. Okay, so that's it for this lecture. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, I'm going to walk you through how to create a readme.md file. MD is a file extension that stands for Markdown. GitHub uses the .md file extension to format files in a HTML kind of way. When you create a readme.md file, it usually is generated at the bottom of your GitHub page as an HTML file or document. If you've got 2 files in your repository, if you've got one called readme.md and another one called just readme.txt, the readme.md will take preference. It's usually the precedent is that the readme.md takes priority over the readme.txt, and the GitHub will use the readme.md to generate the HTML summary you see at the bottom of your GitHub projects. So this is our project here, my project on GitHub. As you can see here, it's saying, notice I haven't got a readme file, so it's telling me to add one. So I'm just going to open up the Git batch. I'm going to clear the screen, and I'm going to create a new file. So to create a new file, I'll go touch space readme dot md, and I'll press enter, and that should create a new file. So if I look at my project file, you can see I've got a readme.md file. So I'm going to open up this in my text editor. So I've got my text editor here, and that is the file. So I'm just going to click on it to enter the directory so I can write some stuff in there. Just going to exit that. So this is not a detailed way to write the proper syntax for a readme.md. You can of course look at the GitHub documentation, and you can also look at other readme files from fully documented projects on GitHub. For now, all I'm going to do is just add a title heading. So to do that, you do the hash followed by, I'm going to call it, followed by the name of the app. I'll just call mine my app, and then you give it a description. I'll just say this is a GitHub test app. That's it. I click on file and I save all. So now if I go back to my git bash, there should be something there. If I do git space status, it tells me there's this file here. So I need to add that to the staging area. So I do git add readme.md. That's now been added to the staging area. So if I do a git status, it should tell me, say the file is green, which means it's now in the staging area. At this stage, it's called a dirty file. So let me commit that. So commit that. So to commit, I do git space commit. I'll add a comment and just say, I'll just say readme added, and I'll just press enter, and that should, ooh, I've got an error. What did I do wrong here? Let me just check the status again. I'll do git status. Okay, it's still in the staging area. So let me commit again, git space commit, which is commit. And to put a comment, I'll do space -m, and then I'll put the quotes, and I'll include some text. I'll just say readme added, and press enter. All right, so it's committed it this time. You can see the changes here. It tells you the file that was added. This is a text for the file that was added. It tells you the node, created a node called readme.md. So now we've added it. We need to make it appear on GitHub. We need to push it there remotely. So you can see on the repository, it hasn't appeared yet. So it's only showing up on my local repository. So I need to push it to the remote. So to do that, you do git and push. So git space push, and then press enter, and it should push this remotely to GitHub. So there you go. It's telling you it's pushed it now. So if I refresh, and you should see that. There you go. So see, I pushed, that's it there, readme.md. And so that warning that I had has now disappeared. It tells you here, this is the text, the file, what's inside the readme.md. So that's basically how you create a readme.md. This is just a skeletal part. I've not included the full syntax. So, but you can always look at other files and look at the documentation and see how it's fully done. This was just a sample to show you how to do it. That's it. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, I'm going to walk you through how you can edit a readme.md file. So this is the readme.md file for my test app on GitHub, and I don't like this hash I've got here, so I'm going to edit this file to remove that. So this area here is the kind of like the HTML area where the content of your readme.md is displayed. So you can have things like a logo inside the readme. If you've got several people who've contributed to your application, you can list all their names inside the readme file, and you can put in license agreement or other stuff you wish to include in your readme. They will all appear in this bottom part here. So for now, I'm just going to edit this file to get rid of this hash. All right, so let me open up the file in my text editor. So this is a file here. I'm just going to replace that with the ampersand. I'm going to put an ampersand there instead and do file and save all. So now if I open up my Git, if I open up this, I should see some changes. I do git space status. It tells me here the file has been modified, so I'm just going to add that file. I'm going to do git add space dot. That will add all files that have been modified. I'll do git space status again, press enter. So the file is now in the staging area. So I'm going to commit it. To git commit. I'm going to add a comment, and I will place that between quotes, and I'll say readme edited. That's it, and I will press enter to commit that. The changes have been committed. If I refresh, nothing will be there. It's still there because I've not pushed it out remotely yet. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm just going to push it out by typing in git space push, and this should push it out remotely to GitHub. Press enter. Okay, so it's doing it now. So it tells you remote has resolved it. So now it's pushed it out. So now if I open up the page and refresh, you can see I've got the ampersand there, which is what I've changed. Used was a hash, now it's got the ampersand. So that's basically how you make change. So if I want to edit this file again and remove that ampersand, I can do that. I just wanted to show you how possible it is to edit the readme.md. So I would strongly advise that you look at other repositories on GitHub, and you can download or clone the repository so that you can see how the readme.md file has been structured, and you can structure yours to reflect that. This is just a test project, so I've not really put in a lot into the readme file because there's really nothing in the project to include in the readme.md file. So that's basically it. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. Hello and welcome. In this lecture, I'm going to walk you through how to clone a GitHub repository. Any repository that is made public can be cloned by anyone. So this is my repository here, so anyone who finds this can clone it. And basically by cloning, same thing, you can, when you clone, you can also download. You've got two options. So if I click on this or click clone, it gives you a link here. So it tells you you can use Git or check out with that using this URL. So I can use this URL link to make a replica of this repository. So let me do that. You've also got the option to download. You can download as a zip or you can open in desktop. So it gives you the option to clone. If you're going to clone with HTTPS, this is how you do it. So we're going to clone. So I'm going to just copy that link. I'll copy it and I am going to just minimize this. I will create another directory. I'll call it, just create another directory here. I will call it my app2. So I just type in mk dir. Actually, before I do that, I need to change directory. I go cd dot dot will take me out of the current directory. So that takes me back into the desktop. So to create a new directory, I'll do mk dir and I'll call it my app2. Okay, so this is the second directory. So now I want to change directory into this new directory I created. So I'll do cd and I'll type in my app2. And I press enter. So I'm now in the current directory. So to clone our repository, which is this repository here, I've copied the link. I'm just going to go into the Git bash and type in the command git space clone space. I just need to paste in the link. If I hit enter, it should have created the clone. It tells you it's cloning into this. So it's doing the clone. So if I open my app2, it should be identical. So this is my, if I click on it, you can see it's got all the files that I have. This is my original app and this is the clone. So it's got everything I've got in the master directory. So you can clone anyone's directory if you've got, if you can see it on GitHub. So you have the option to download as a zip or you can clone. So to clone, that's how you do it. Just copy the URL and just use the git-clone command and paste it into it as we've done, and it creates a replica of that repository for you. So that's it on this lecture on cloning. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.